Ah yes, Stardew Valley. One of the biggest farming games in my opinion. All you need to do is complete the community centre, get married, have kids, become besties with everyone, kill every enemy in the game, cook every food dish, craft every item, catch every fish, collect every star drop, reach max skill level, find all the golden walnuts in Ginger Island, build every obelisk, and build the golden block. Sounds simple enough, right? It's so simple that in my 291 hours of the game I have not achieved perfection once, and I want to change that. I also want to throw in a challenge to make this experience a lot more difficult than I care to admit. I am not going to use a furnace once. Furnace has one function, and that is to smelt. So how am I going to get the smelted items to complete this challenge? The simple answer? I won't. The challenge is impossible without a furnace. So instead, I will do all I can without a furnace. It should be possible to get to Ginger Island without a furnace. There is a way to craft all but two of the crafting recipes, the heavy tapper and the hopper. You might be thinking, but Bear, what about copper, iron, gold and iridium bars? All of these bars have a chance of being dropped by a shadow brute or shadow shaman. Copper bars have a 4% chance, iron bars have a 2% chance, gold bars have a 1% chance, and iridium bars have a 0.1% chance of being dropped. To give myself a higher chance of getting the drops, I will try and get the burglar's ring. I think for this entire challenge, the biggest difficulty will be trying to get the copper bars that I need. But without any further ado, let's get into what happens. On the first day of spring, I grabbed the parsnip seeds donated by Lewis, and I clear a small area to make a starter farm and plant the seeds. I begin to clear more of the farm before heading towards Pelican Town. I stop by the bus stop and collect a leek and a dandelion for the spring forage bundle. I make a chest and tidy up my inventory. I then head to the mountain where I dig up a book and some clay. I meet Maru, Demetrius, and Linus. I find a daffodil before meeting Harvey, Marnie, Leah, Caroline, and Abigail. I buy some seeds and pears and bankrupt myself before meeting Emily, Vincent, Jody and Evelyn, Gus and George, Pam, Sam and Shane, before diving into trash and finding a carp. I meet my new bestie Clint and Elliot before going to the beach and finding my first artifact, which I immediately donate to the museum. I meet Alex and Penny before heading back to the farm to plant the new seeds that I'd bought. I clear more of the farm before going down and finding a horseradish. I find another artifact. I throw some things into the shipping bin and end the first day and get level 1 in foraging. Day 2 starts with me watering my crops and checking the mail. Some guy called Willie wants me to meet him at the beach. Totally not scared of anything, nope. I tidy up more of the farm and find a geode. I go down south and I found some more spring onions. I meet Jazz and donate the second artifact. Process the geode and donate that as well. I head to the beach and meet Willie, who gives me his rod, and immediately remember how awkward the fishing minigame is, and somehow catch a herring. Aren't they meant to be red? I also caught a sardine, so I guess you could say I was sardine to get it, or you could not. I found another artifact spot and dug up a hand. I tried fishing in the river and caught a gold quality sunfish. I donate the hand to the museum. Or fishing in the mountain and spend an awkward amount of time staring at a chest as I try to catch a chub. I redeem myself and end up catching a largemouth bass as well. I head back to the farm and clear more area for future projects, and I eventually go to bed and reach level 1 fishing. Day 3 starts with Clint standing on my porch in the pouring rain in an attempt to give me a furnace recipe. It feels like a Hallmark Christmas movie, to be honest, and because it's raining I don't need to water my crops and instead go fishing in the town. After getting a 4th green algae in a row, I give up and head to Cindersap Forest to catch some spring onions, or collect them. Your choice. I spend a bit more time fishing and end up catching a silver quality chub. I also catch a shad which will go towards the community centre when I unlock it. Bad at fishing, I decide to clear out more of the farm and pray to Yoba that my fishing skills somehow improves. I look at my friends list and realise that I've never met Haley, Pierre or Sebastian. It doesn't matter, so I spend my last bit of energy clearing out the farm. I dig up a chicken statue and decide to call it a night. Day 4 starts with the standard farm chores such as watering the crops and clearing out more farmland. I head south and find an absurd amount of spring onions waiting to be harvested. I finally meet Pierre and do a bit of window shopping. I donate the chicken statue to Gunther and get some cauliflower seeds in return. Clint opens up a geode and finds a limestone inside, which is immediately given to Gunther. I buy some more parsnips from Pierre before returning to the farm and planting down the seeds that Gunther gave me. I spend the rest of the day clearing out fibre. Finally meet Haley and Sebastian. Then I head to bed and gain level 1 in mining. Day 5 starts with Marnie on my doorstep with a dog. She asks if I want to adopt the dog, and I do, and I call it Hugo. Dog adoption out the way, it's harvesting time. I also make a start on some farm chores. It's Friday, aka travelling cart day, and unfortunately I can't afford anything. But it doesn't matter as the mines are now open. I get a sword from a guy called Marlon, and I have the worst mining luck possible, but find an amethyst on level 4. I also finally found the ladder, but at that point I'm exhausted. I left the mine and gifted a leek to George, and I went to bed and reached level 1 in farming. Day 6 begins with me watering my crops, and I read my mail and see that Marlon wants me to kill 10 green slimes. After collecting some spring onions, I head towards the town and meet Lewis at the community centre, which means that I can finally start donating stuff towards the bundles. Instead, I head to Clint's and get a thunder egg, a green thing, and an earth crystal. I do a bit of trash diving and get a brain before donating the items to Gunther. I find yet another book for the library, and I go towards the community centre and find a living jelly guarding a book. I head into the mines and start killing the green slimes for Marlon. In the mines, I find 1 quartz, which will be given to Gunther, and I reach level 10 and get some stylish boots. I kill 1 final slime for Marlon, and go to the farm to do some much needed tidying. I put the spring onions and earth crystals in a shipping bin before heading towards bed. I end the day getting level 2 foraging and level 1 combat. It's raining and there's a crow! I harvest the tulip and the potatoes and craft a scarecrow and place it down. No more pesky crows. I go to the travelling cart and buy nothing. I'm sure that's not going to harm me or anything. I go inside the tower and finally meet the wizard. Finally able to understand the Junimos, I go to the community centre to see what I need for the bundles. I hand over the spring foraging bundle and get a reward of 30 spring seeds. The trash gives me a soggy loaf of bread and I ask Clint to open up some more geodes. Naturally, I donate those items to Gunther and he gives me some melon seeds. Back at the farm, I plant down the spring seeds. I also grab various community centre items and donate them to their respected bundles. I spent the rest of the evening gathering wood for various projects. I say goodnight to Hugo and go to bed as well. Day 8 means harvest day. I plant down the last of the spring seeds and get to watering. I go to Cindersap Forest and do a bit more fishing, which has been completely forgotten. I also go to the beach and do a bit of fishing there. I end up at Pierre's and get a much needed backpack upgrade. I also buy some more parsnips. And I use what little energy I have left gathering more wood. I head to the beach with 300 wood to fix the little bridge. I go to bed with Hugo by my side and I reach level 2 in farming. Day 9 and I water my crops. I dig outside of Pam's trailer and find a rusty spoon. I decide that I should make some more progress in the mines, and that's exactly what I do. I reached floor 19, but I couldn't find the ladder down, so I went home instead. I went to bed filled with regrets, but you know, tomorrow is another day. Would you be surprised if I said that day 10 started with me watering crops? Because you shouldn't be. Once farm chores were done, I went to Clint's and got him to open up some more geodes. And after that, I went to the mines, determined to reach floor 20. This fly was buzzing around my head, but somehow dropped a ladder to floor 20. I finally got a new weapon, Huzzah! And I pushed on and somehow reached level 25. After a long day, I went back to bed. I caught my first green bean and then did some watering. Robin had lost her axe somehow, and that was now our problem. Thanks, Robin. I went down south and there were no spring onions, but I did find Robin's axe. I passed Clint's on the way and threw some geodes at his face. And then I donated some things to Gunther that I had gathered in the mine the day before. I suddenly remembered that I needed to give Robin her axe. Oopsie, I knew I've got something. I went to the community centre and donated the last thing for the crab pot bundle. With a bit of energy left over, I went to the mines, and I made decent progress and actually ended up reaching level 30. On my way home, I caught Linus going through George's trash, and after that, I went to bed. I I did the usual farm chores of watering and harvesting a lonely gold parsnip, and I went to the travelling cart and bought nothing despite needing the sandfish. I finally gave Clint a loved gift so that we can make some progress on this challenge. I went to Pierre's and bought some parsnips in order to get that gold quality one. After expanding the farm, I finally planted the seeds that I'd bought from Pierre's, and out of energy, I decided to go to bed early that night. Day 13 and the cauliflowers are finally ready, and I do the usual of watering my growing plants. I went towards town to talk to Clint, but somehow forgot it was Egg Festival Day. I went around and spoke to everyone before buying strawberry seeds from Pierre. Then it was the egg hunt time. I was doing pretty well and somehow got 13 eggs before the timer ran out. The prize was a beloved straw hat. Now I'm really a farmer. After running around all day, I finally went to bed. Day 14 and the forage was finally ready. I did the usual of watering all the plants, and I headed into the south to the forest and found Vincent and Jazz playing in the sewers. Ah, the joys of childhood. I went to the travelling merchant but didn't buy anything despite still needing the sandfish. Why am I like this? I went to see if there were any spring onions and oh my god, would you look at that, I hit the jackpot. I then went to see Clint and gave him a topaz and he told me to go away. Upset by Clint, I went to the community centre and donated the final item for the spring crop bundle. Eager to work on friendship, I gave George a leek as it is his beloved gift. I decided to spend the rest of the day in the mines and I got to floor 35 and realised how low my energy was and went home instead. I reached level 3 in foraging. There was a noise during the night which can only mean one thing. After watering my crops, I went to go and look for that one thing, and I finally found it. It was a meteorite, but I wasn't strong enough to break it yet. I decided that today is going to be a day in the mines. I made it to floor 40, and I found a slingshot in one of the chests. And I found dust sprites on floor 41, and I needed to kill 500 of these for the burglar's ring, which is going to make this challenge a lot easier. But I got bored on floor 42, and I went home instead. And after sorting out my inventory, I went to bed. It was a big harvest day on day 16, so I ended up getting loads of parsnips and quite a few cauliflowers. I ended up with 5 golden parsnips which will be donated to the community centre. And I went foraging in the cindersap forest and got a few more spring onions. I got Clint to open up an army geode which was then given to the museum along with the dwarf scroll. I bought the grass starter recipe from Pierre as well as some green bean starters. I remembered to give in the golden parsnips to the bundle. I decided that today was going to be the best spent in mines. I made it to floor 45 and found a load of dust sprites waiting for me to kill them. One dust sprite that I killed ended up dropping a crystal fruit and a ladder. I made it to floor 50 and got some new boots. I also killed a slime which gave me a winter fruit. Low on energy, I went home and sorted out my inventory before putting things in the shipping bin. Before going to bed. I reached level 3 in farming and combat. On day 17, I finally planted down my green bean starters and watered my crops. And I went to Clint and got him to open up an omnia geode again today, which was donated to Gunther along with a frozen tear that I found in the mines yesterday. Speaking of the mines, guess where we're going today? I made it to floor 57 before giving up due to the time in the game. After sorting out my inventory, I went inside and went to bed. Day 18, it was raining and there was a harvest ready to collect. I decided it was time to clear the farm a bit more, before giving Gunther an aquamarine. I also donated 10 bat wings and 1 solar essence to the community centre. With a bit of time on my hands, I went to the mines once again. I made it to floor 60, which is pretty good for me. And after that, I went to bed and reached level 4 in farming. Day 19, I once again watered my crops and Jodie asked for a cauliflower. I went to the travelling cart and bought nothing despite needing basically everything. I asked Clint to process more geodes and got a few good things which were instantly given to Gunther. To celebrate my success with the museum, I went into the mines once again. I got to floor 65 before deciding to just not be there anymore. I went to the community centre to give a sea urchin to the dye bundle. Lost on what to do, I gave Hugo a pat and went to bed. Day 20, I did the usual farm chores and I went to Clint and gave him an amethyst before throwing more geodes at his face. I gave the goods to Gunther and somehow ended up at the mines again. I made it to floor 70 and upgraded my slingshot to a master slingshot. I returned to the farm to sort out my inventory while having an early night. I dreamed of level 4 combat. It was raining, my strawberries were ready on day 21. The farm was overgrown, so I gave it a bit of a trim. It was also Sunday, so the travelling card was here once again. I bought nothing despite needing stuff still. I also remembered to give the ghost fish in to the community centre before spending the afternoon in the mines. The skeleton very kindly dropped its sword for me. I nearly made it to floor 75, but I ran out of energy. I crawled home and had an early night with Hugo by my side. I reached level 4 foraging. Day 22 started with watering my crops. I gathered a few spring onions. As I went past Pierre's, I noticed that somebody wanted me to kill 8 frost slimes. That sounds easy, right? I headed into the mines to begin my mission, and a crate very kindly gave me a magnet ring, which honestly made my day so much better. I realised there were still a few spring fish that I needed to catch, so I did that. I perfectly caught a bowfish, and I ignored a treasure chest in favour of catching a carp, as somehow I haven't caught one of those yet. In the town, I perfectly caught a smallmouth bass, which completed an achievement. In the community centre, I donated the bullfish, which is one less thing to donate. I barely made it to bed and dreamed of level 2 fishing. It was raining on day 23, so I did a bit of harvesting and read the post. Tomorrow is going to be the flower dance. I go to the beach and I catch my first halibut. Whilst I was waiting for the fish to bite, I realised that you can actually get radioactive bars without a furnace. In Mr. Key's room, you can buy a hopper for only 10 key gems. If you put a hopper into a deconstructor, which is sold by Mr. Key, the item with the highest value will appear, aka the radioactive bar. And we just caught a flounder. I gave Jodie the cauliflower that she asked for, and she gives me some money. But I talk to Lewis and find out that he's the one who wanted me to kill the slimes. Weirdly, I'm not surprised. Back at the beach, I catch an anchovy. And somehow I'm at Pierre's and I buy an apple sapling. Wait, no, I needed that money. Why did I do that? I spent an absurdly long time looking at that one tile and plant down the sapling, I swear. This is going to be known as the Tree of Regret. I'm at the beach again and I catch an eel. My fishing adventures continue as I catch a bream in the middle of town. With a bit of time left in the day, I head to the mines. To fish? Yep, on floor 20 you can catch a stonefish and a ghostfish. And I do just that. First I catch a ghostfish, and after a bit of toing and froing, I catch a stonefish. Then I stagger into bed and dream of level 3 fishing. It's the flower dance today, but the crops still need watering, and I notice that there's a bit of post, and it's Willie telling me that he has a new rod. Good for him. I donate the eel to the community centre, and I'm not expecting much from this flower dance other than some friendship points. I go and see what Pierre is selling and buy a recipe that I desperately need. Sadly, I can't afford the Velcro at the moment, but if I remember, I'll buy it from the travelling cart. I'm not friends enough with the villagers yet to take part in their flower dance, so I just watch at the side. Maybe next year I will do. After the flower dance, I still had a bit of energy, so I headed up towards the mines. I don't actually know what I was doing in the mines, but I ended up losing track of time. I might have ended up passing out a little bit, not inside my bed. I slept badly last night, but still managed to harvest some strawberries and water some crops. There was a letter waiting for me, and there was some liners telling me to be careful. I don't want to lose any more money, not after the apple tree incident. As per the spring tradition, I harvested some more spring onions. After that, I gifted Clint an amethyst. I was in the mine later that day, trying to find artifacts that were hidden in the ground so I could give them to the museum. I'd been looking for the first dwarf scroll so that I could learn the dwarvish language and talk to this chap that had been caved in, but unfortunately I didn't find it. I spent the rest of my energy clearing out more space on the farm. Pleased with the progress that I made, I went to bed at a reasonable time, unlike last night. Day 26, and there's a couple of green beans and a lot of watering to do, so let's get to it, shall we? There was another letter for me, but it was from Clint this time, and it was a recipe for our wee soup. The travelling card was here again today, and would you be surprised if I said I bought nothing despite still needing a puffer fish? I did, however, ask Clint to open up some more geodes for me, and he gave me a few more things to give to the museum. Which is exactly what I did. I noticed that I was running low on wood, so I made a small tree farm which will hopefully expand over time. I spent a lot of time and energy clearing more space on the farm, and now we can actually see the meteorite. I'd kind of forgotten about that. Very low on energy, I called it an early night and went to bed. Day 27, it's harvest day. All the beans are finally ready and the crops still need to be watered. I want to build a coop today, so I went to Robin and I asked for one to be built near Hugo's water bowl. spent my evening in the mine and I made it to floor 76 before running out of energy. Eventually I went to bed and I dreamed of level 4 mining. It's the final day of spring and the final day of this episode, and I find Demetrius on my doorstep asking if he can poke around in my cave. He asked if I prefer mushrooms or bats, and I said bats. After that I watered my crops for the final day of spring. The travelling cart was here again today, and Karma was catching up with me as there was no pufferfish to purchase. I did, however, get very lucky with spring onions as there were loads of them. I then spoke to Clint, who told me to get back to work, so I gave him an amethyst. And I spent most of the day in the mines, and by some sheer miracle I made it to floor 80, and I got some new boots. Hooray! However, reaching floor 80 is actually quite a big deal, as it means their shadow brutes can now appear, and we might get copper bars when we kill them. I had really low health, but I couldn't not fight that one shadow and miss on possibly getting a copper bar, and I'm glad that we stuck around, because we did. I headed home, wounded but victorious in the fact that I've finally got a copper bar after 28 days of this challenge. I sat on this chair and reflected on everything that we have done this past season. We had made so much progress, but at the same time we've barely made a dent in what could be possible. Ecstatic with what happened in spring, I slept through to summer. At the end of spring, this is what my skills look like. On a social front, Clint is my best friend and I'm okay with that. We've barely shipped anything, and I don't think that's going to change too much in the summer. I managed to catch all but 2 of the spring fish, the catfish and the legend. I definitely need to focus on getting more geodes to get some more artifacts. And I want to say thank you very much for joining me this season. I didn't think I'd make as much progress as I did, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this challenge is going to go in the future. If we get 20 likes on this video, I'll work on the second part as soon as possible.